this world for our students with that inner fire burning. We will never bend. We will never be broken because we are the NEA, and we will always, always do what we must to be worthy of our students. Thank you, NEA, for all you do every day for our babies and for our colleagues and for your states and for this country. Onward, NEA! Onward!
You know, it's not every day that people tell you exactly who they are. And when we're having a conversation about the current state of education in this country, it's nice to hear people willing to say, hey, I'm batshit insane, and I want to have a say in your child's education. Because all too often they try to pretend they're not insane. And they try to say, hey, I'm here to help because I love kids, and your kids are my kids, and we've got to build a global community, and all this other garbage that isn't even true, nor is it compelling. But I'll tell you, the National Education Association, they found a way to make it compelling and completely batshit insane. Listen to this nonsense.
I can hear Chief Seattle crying out to us, urging us to remember when you know who you are, when your mission is clear, and you burn with the inner fire of an unbreakable will. No cold can touch your heart. No deluge can dampen your purpose. NEA, you are those stars in the darkness. Your light will not be dimmed. Your purpose will drive you.
Drive you insane? Because this is absolutely insane. It is a weird thing to be referencing Chief Seattle. It would have only been better if it would have been a white woman doing it. But either way, say absolutely nothing, and then people stand up and cheer you. Why? Because they really feel like they're just supposed to. It's not because she's doing a great job here, because she is not. Not talking about kids, not talking about anything. Talking about the purpose of educators. Where's the success here where you're telling us you're overcoming obstacles and things like that? Because that's kind of what you're saying here, that you're succeeding in the face of overwhelming obstacles. But what are those obstacles? Universal political support? More money every single year? What is the obstacle that you're overcoming besides the system's own failures?
In our righteous fight for freedom, because you know who you are.
That's right. Yes.
You know who you are. You are the NEA. Our mission is clear. We will advocate for the rights of education professionals.
Again, I like the idea that they tell you who they are. They're not here to make education better. They're advocating for the rights of education professionals. The rights for them to be batshit insane.
And we will change this world for our students with that inner fire burning. We will never bend. We will never be broken because we are the NEA, and we will always, always do what we must to be worthy of our students. Thank you, NEA, for...
Yeah, okay. You're worthy of their students. No, you're not worthy of anything. You're worthy of being ignored. That's what you're worthy of.
All you do every day for our babies and for our colleagues and for your states and for this country. Onward, NEA! Onward!
Now, I know you're probably going to say, Dale, what does that remind you of? And I know what you're thinking, but I'm not going to do the simple thing here. I'm not going to say that it reminds me of this guy. I'm going to do the appropriate thing and treat this with the respect and dignity that this all deserves.
Blood alone moves the wheels of history.
Now, again, it would be insane to compare them to Hitler, so I would never do such a thing. But to Dwight Schrute from The Office, pretending to be Hitler? Yeah, sure. And that's kind of the speech he was given there. So, yeah, I'll compare it to that. Wow, that was insane. And it's worth noting that the insanity of all of this is important. And why is it important? Well, it's important because these are the people who are doing a terrible job.
More Illinois students are graduating high school, but they are not going to college. The Illinois Policy Institute put out some new numbers today. They say our state is one of just 20 to report an increase in graduation rates during the pandemic, but 11% fewer of those graduates are enrolled in a college a year later. SAT scores were down as well. The report found that Chicago public schools are especially struggling, falling behind and below, the state average for graduation rates, college attendance, and SAT scores. Nearly all large suburban school districts fared better than CPS.
So let's all note this just for a quick second here. They graduated more kids, less of them went to college, less of them were ready for college. What does that tell you? It tells you they're pushing them through whether they are ready or not. And that's not much of a surprise. They tout that kind of stuff as success, but it clearly is not. It is a failure. And the failure isn't for a lack of money, that is for sure.
You know, a lot of these inner cities, like New York and Washington, D.C., and Chicago and Los Angeles, are paying almost $30,000 per student. I mean, it's unbelievable how much they're spending. And yet, as you just said, the test scores are going down, and people are not. More and more people parents are taking their kids out of the public schools because they're so rotten. And incidentally, I live in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is the third or fourth richest county in America. Of course, it's in Washington, D.C. And they keep raising our property tax. And I'm like, wait a minute. For a year and a half, Dagan and Sean, they didn't even provide school service. They should be giving money back to me. Why should I be paying more? They didn't teach our kids for a year and a half.
Really good point. Steve Moore, calling out the crazy. Thank you.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy, actually. It's absolutely nuts. And if you look at this, that is the argument that we should all be making. We're sending them more money. We're getting less results every single time. I'm getting no results. I send my kid to a private school. And you know why? Because the public schools aren't good enough for my kid. And the public schools aren't good enough for your kid. And that's why we should all be advocating for school choice, where we can actually choose where that money goes and force these public schools to compete, as opposed to having a monopoly. And the NEA and the AEA in Alabama and everywhere else, they can whine and complain and bitch all they want. But remember something, and this is the important part here. They have had a complete and almost total control over most of the states in this country. And nobody can make the argument that the educational system is improving in the way it should be. Is school choice a fix to every school? No. But trapping these kids in failing schools, trapping these kids in schools that don't give them the best chance to succeed, trapping these kids because you can make the argument that it doesn't fix everything, is a reverse George Wallace. Now, you may know George Wallace. I live in Alabama, so I know him very well. I know of him very well because it's sort of the thing we talk about a lot. This is a reverse George Wallace. And the kids are being trapped inside these schools and not allowed out, as opposed to fighting to get inside the schools in the first place. It's an embarrassment. The schools are not doing the job they're supposed to do, but every year we have politicians bragging about giving them more money. The NEA bragging about the great job they're doing. Why? Why would you brag about that at all? You should go up there and somberly say, we've got to do better. We're getting the support of our community. We're getting more money from the legislatures. but we're not delivering. We need to start delivering. We need to demand more from parents. And one of the arguments that the teachers make is that, well, it's not our fault. The parents are just raising terrible kids. That's not going to change. That is not going to change. Kids are not going to start behaving better. We're not seeing parents getting better. It's actually moving in the opposite direction. The school systems are still getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And we're screwing over the kids that would have a chance because they don't want any changes. I think competition's good, choice is good, and these schools should have to compete. When that happens, maybe we'll see some changes. Until then, we're just arguing for the status quo, and that's not good enough. Public schools aren't good enough for my kid. They're not good enough for your kid. School choice now.